I'm Nicholas Penrake, and you're listening to A Trader's Life, the podcast where I get to talk to successful traders about their approach to trading, how they started out and went from broke or breaking even to pulling in thousands of dollars a week. Trading is a tough game. They say only around 5% of those who try actually make a profit. Join me for A Trader's Life to glean some valuable insights from the market wizards I get to talk to. I have with me on the show today Alexandra Lera, a trader from Romania.
Hi, Nick. Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. And you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Great.
Yeah, sunny here.
Sunny.
For a
Oh,
change.
and it's
Yeah.
rainy here. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So yeah, I met you online through another Romanian trader who also studied the same kind of strategies as you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you're both in Bucharest, aren't you?
No, actually, he's in another city, as far as I know.
Oh,
And
okay.
yes, I am in Bucharest. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So how did you get into trading in the first place?
Well, long story short, I've been with my boyfriend for about 7 years, and he's been into trading for more years that I can remember. And he has been trying to, drag me into trading from the beginning of our relationship, but I just wasn't very attracted to this. I just felt like my job was everything that I needed, so I just any didn't need any change in my life at that point.
Yeah.
But one day he just sent me a WhatsApp group with some guys who I don't think they exist anymore, as a trading group. But I just felt really, I don't know, it just clicked for me. And ever since I tried to understand trading forex, and then it just became easier and easier. And yeah, and it was also something that I needed to do because at some point I just got uh, fired from my old job, and trading just seemed the natural choice.
Yeah. I mean, when you said you didn't want to go near trading when your boyfriends first started nagging you about it,
Hmm.
was that because you simply were happy with what you were doing, or was it you kind of really mistrusted it and thought it looked like gambling?
Not necessarily. I wasn't really looking at it as, very close to gambling, especially because I had some experience, let's say, with in the gambling industry, like with for a former job. Anyway, so it wasn't really similar, but I just didn't take it quite seriously. I just thought, I felt like it was something very personal to men, something that only men can do, not necessarily something at which a woman can excel. So I just didn't feel
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it is male dominated.
it is. Yeah.
Did you feel, oh, okay, it's such a male environment, therefore it's kind of alien to me, or
Well, I felt like it was something, male dominated, but, at some point I started to, when I actually started to accept the idea, and just I was feeling more and more interested about it, I started to watch YouTube videos of male traders and
yeah,
mentors, forex mentors. And at some point I started to hear from most of them that as opposed to what people think, actually, women are better traders than men, because it seems that us as women, although we tend to be more emotional at, in different aspects of our lives, like family or relationships or stuff like that, we actually don't, we can actually control the rules that we need to follow. So we
yeah,
can follow rules better than men.
less impulsive, more
Less
cautious.
impulsive, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And we just don't we don't make so many scenarios in our minds, like okay, well, this rule is being respected, however, what if? So we don't what if as much as men.
that's interesting, isn't it?
So
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah, yeah. And how was it at the beginning once you got started? Was it full of setbacks? Was it quite smooth running? How did you find it?
No, it actually wasn't. No, there was a lot of information coming towards me from all places, a lot of strategies. I I was trying to, I don't know, I was trying to gather information that can really mean something that I can really understand, but I was just bouncing from one mentor to another until I actually found a mentor that I've been in his mentorship for several months, almost a year. And he had so much information. And at some point, I was really seeing him as a god, a forex god. So he had a lot of information to give out, and I was like a sponge trying to understand everything. And when it came to applying the information that I was trying to understand, it felt really hard, really confusing, because he had multiple trading patterns and multiple strategies, I could say.
Yeah.
And it was like all in one. And I was trying to find a setup, based on one of the entry patterns, but at the same time, another entry pattern would completely, erase all my analysis, because it was completely telling me to go the opposite way. So if I had an entry pattern or some rules telling me that I should be a buyer, then other rules from the same strategy would tell me, you should actually be a seller. So it was
Okay.
very
Yes. Yeah, so
confusing.
conflicting strategies then.
Conflicting,
Yeah.
very, yes. Although it came from the same mentor, from the same guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And was it useful having a boyfriend who trades and discussing the strategies with him,
No,
or
no.
more confusing?
No, not necessarily more confusing, but I was trying to understand everything my way, and
Yeah.
he was understanding everything his way. So
Yeah.
it
Interesting.
was,
Okay.
I was seeing something very different than he was seeing, and vice versa. And we would just almost all the time we would end up like almost arguing about, no, 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 you should interpret this like this, and no, actually it's like that. And
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Who was right mostly?
Um, ah,
Was he right
I
more
don't
than
know.
you, or was it about equal?
No, no, we never counted. No,
No. Okay. Yeah.
no.
Going back to the guy you learned so much from, what was his name? Michael, isn't it? Michael.
Hmm. Michael
Yeah.
Huddleston.
He's a former professional trader, isn't he? Institutions and that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
is. Yes.
And
Hmm.
is there any kind of strategy you could talk to me about there without it getting too complicated, or is there anything that jumps out at you when you think of how different that was from what you were doing before?
Well, before him, I wasn't really doing much, honestly. I just really didn't know what I was doing, to be honest with you. I would just, take one rule from a guy on YouTube that I saw, and I would just link that to another rule from another guy on YouTube that I saw, and just that never paid out
Yeah.
for me. So after being in his mentorship, in Michael's mentorship, as I was saying previously, I had so much information coming towards me that it actually made me more confused than I was in the beginning. So what actually stood out for me from all the things that he said were mostly psychological things, um, psychological lessons, if you want. I tried to filter the information, technically speaking, the rules and everything that he was teaching us in his mentorship sessions. I tried to filter that like about 90%. So more than 90%, I would say, of what he ever taught us in his lessons, I just completely forgot.
Okay.
I choose
Yeah,
to
you have to
forget
filter
all
out
that
certain stuff.
information,
Yeah.
because exactly, it was just too much. And it was, at some point, it was becoming too conflicting, because we all, as beginners, we had the tendency to apply everything because we wanted our analysis to be as perfect as possible. And we thought that if we would apply every possible rule that he gave us, that would come more closer to perfection. But it was actually giving us the opposite result, giving me the opposite result. So what stood out the most from his lessons were, random memes, if you wish, that he would just tell us. Like, for example, what's your problem? Your problem is that you are focusing too much on the trend reversal, and you just want to catch the big move all the way from the top or all the way from the bottom. And you focus 99% of the time on catching the big reversal instead of focusing on just going with the current flow.
Yeah.
So this was something that really clicked for me, and I still see this as I think it's number one thing for me.
A lot of top traders have said
trading wise,
they tend to trade at the top, rather than sort of wait for buying, for example, at the bottom, or even, they wait until there's a real momentum, and so they trade near the top. Whereas most of us beginners might say, well, it's going to turn any minute, so I'll leave that. But that is so often where you get the stronger push before the reversal. Yeah.
And another thing that actually, just clicked for me was the fact that he was saying all the time, you shouldn't be interested in what entry pattern to choose. You should be interested more in what direction you're going to choose. So another thing that I was seeing, like a pattern, with all the mentors on YouTube, they were insisting so much on the entry pattern, and so it just gives you, as a beginner, or not necessarily as a beginner in trading forex or in trading in general, but just as a beginner with that strategy, it gives you the sense of wanting more to understand the entry pattern, but it's actually really wrong, because it's useless to have the perfect entry pattern and to spot the perfect entry pattern if you are not taking your directional bias before seeing the entry pattern. So I just had a lot of situations when I would see the perfect entry pattern, would execute on it, and it was actually a losing trade, although it would respect all the rules, but it just didn't respect one rule, which at some point seemed very exactly. So I was just not nailing the directional bias, because that's what I was actually trying to do, just nail the direction. But when I started to focus more on understanding higher time frames and what's the actual what's the trend direction and what is the market doing right now, is it in a reversal, is it doing a retracement, is it going sideways, is it trending? When I started to focus more on this, everything kind of started to change, because if I was seeing a bullish pattern and a bearish pattern at the same time, then I would just know which one to pick. One was good and the other one should have been ignored.
Yeah. Okay. How long did it take you before you started to make consistent profits every week or even every month?
Well, from when I figured out what I need to focus on, I think about 6 to 8 months.
So till then it was like net losses or breaking even?
Yes, pretty much, yes.
Yeah, it's pretty normal, isn't it, for nearly everyone, really?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And how much money did you put down in an account as you started off?
Yes, at first I started with €1,000. Then I was slightly growing the account, then just going back to €1,000 or €900, and just doing this for about, I think, 7 or 8 months. And at some point, I just got to €500, so I was 50%
down.
Down, exactly. I was really scared, because I just didn't understand why I was focusing so much on those rules, but they just wouldn't pay for me. And then I started to rewatch all my notes that I had taken from my mentorship sessions with Michael. And that's when I started to see that I was focusing too much on the entry pattern instead of focusing on how to take my directional bias. Then, when I started to focus on this, I started to accumulate more profits. When I reached 3,000, I just withdrew my investment, my initial investment. And then I started to make constant profits. And I think after about 5 months, I decided to top my account with another 5,000. And from then, I'm just withdrawing about 70% from my monthly profits, and the rest of the 30% of the monthly profits just stays in the account, so I can increase my trading lot size.
Yeah. So when you got down to that slightly worrying figure of 500, did you have to, I suppose you inevitably you had to trade smaller lot sizes. So that's always difficult, isn't it, to build up the account? So it's quite a challenge for you. Did you put in more money on top of the 500 or just keep going with the 500 and slowly build up?
No, I kept going. But it's true that at some point I started to risk more. Normally, every mentor and every trader would tell you that if you have a 500 balance equity, you should not open with more than 0.05, right? So maximum 0.10.
Yeah. One trade, right? Just one trade, yeah.
One trade, exactly, yes. Or just split your trade into multiple micro lots, But at some point, I started to open trades with half of a standard lot, but trying to keep my stop loss as minimum as possible. Most of the times, my stop loss would get hit, but I would have very small losses, like, I don't know,
20 euros, yeah.
Yes, 10, 20 euros. My entries were on 5 minutes, so I was kind of scalping. If I was in profit about 5-6 pips, I would just close most of the position. And then when I started to accumulate, to remake my balance too, at some point I was at about 800, I think. And then I started to change a bit the timeframes that I was watching. And right now I'm focusing on H4 plus M15. So H4 gives me the directional bias. Sometimes about one time per week. I also look at the daily, but very, very rare. And my entries are mostly on M15.
Yeah.
I try to keep my stop loss no more than 20-25 pips. If that's a logical position where to place my stop loss, above or below.
Yeah, so pretty tight, yeah.
A structure, exactly. And, right now I just play with lots. But at the beginning, I was willing to risk all the 500 or all the remaining 500.
Yeah, you're sort of all in at that point, aren't you? Yeah.
Yes, because you just, if you don't go all in, then you will always be afraid. And
it's nearly impossible then because you just keep panicking.
Yes, exactly. You accumulate 100 and then you're down 110 and so on. So you just bounce between same amounts. It's just not taking you anywhere.
Did you at some point think, right, I've got down to 500, maybe I should take a week off or recalibrate?
Oh, yes.
And sort of,
I had. Okay. And I still do have days when I don't trade, when I don't necessarily feel able to trade.
Interesting.
But back then, yes, I did take breaks, long breaks. Like I would trade only Wednesdays and Thursdays. And so I would trade 2-3 days a week maximum. And the rest was just because the most important thing that I observed is that you need to grow your patience. And if you can't just look at the charts and that's it, and see a potential trade and not take it, then you're not patient. You're not patient if you can't just look at it without executing on it. So it's really challenging.
Yeah, you can get trigger happy, can't you?
Yes, it's also something that I've learned from Michael.
Yeah, just to know when to, well, pause and think
When
and
to say
watch and
no and
yeah,
exactly.
exactly, yeah. So when you did go through, periods of heavy loss, what would you do to sort of get rid of that stress?
Well, I have 2 cats,
Okay,
so
you talk to them, yeah.
playing with the animals is something really, um, soothing, I might say. Um, and mostly read. I would mostly read and just go out for long walks. Cook to cook, it's something that I always often
Mm,
do. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, at some point I was really cooking daily, just not to
yeah, and what
trade.
sort of books do you like reading? Is that fiction or would it be on trading or
Mm, no, 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 no. I've read only 2
okay,
books
on trading,
related, yes,
okay.
on
What
trading
were they?
exactly. Uh, They were Naked Trading by Nick Ritin. I think it's the name of the guy. And The Playbook, which is a book that was recommended to me by Alex.
Okay, I don't know that one. Yeah. Was that good?
The Playbook, yes, it's very nice. It's the story of, I forgot his name, but if you want, I can
Mm,
look it up. It's a very good book because it just he gives an insight on his life prior to trading,
yeah,
and it's actually more personal. And then it gets into trading more
yeah.
deep. But it was actually more like a personal story, very very catchy,
When
very
was it
very
written? Was
nice.
that pre-computers or was it fairly recent?
Oh no 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 no! It's fairly recent. No, it's fairly
Okay, I'll have
recent.
to look it up. Right, good.
hmm Yeah. So other books that I read mostly are on personal development,
Yeah,
mostly.
okay. And what's a typical day look like for you?
Well, wake up as early as possible, sometimes 6 a.m., sometimes 5:50,
Oh, that is early,
5:30
yeah.
a.m., sometimes 6:30 a.m.,
Yeah,
Then just wash teeth,
yeah,
whatever, drink water first thing in the morning. Then a short meditation, usually, just to focus on breathing and to try to not get into the daily activities very fast.
yeah.
Then usually I just, leisure time around the house. If it's something that I should do, like cooking or cleaning or not much, or some shopping or stuff like that, then around 1, 1:30, 2 p.m., I would just sit on my desk and start to analyze the
Okay, yeah,
markets.
so quite late in the day. I mean, the market starts for you or the European market starts here at 8 in London at 8 o'clock. And for you
Yes, and here
10,
at
yeah. So
10.
you wait a couple
Yeah.
of hours for things to settle down, do you, before
Oh, yes. Generally I don't trade on the London session. I usually trade on the New York session.
okay, why's that?
I've noticed that most of my losing trades were on the London session
Oh, interesting, yeah.
because um, usually when there is a directional bias, let's say that my higher time frame is telling me that I should be a buyer. Usually the London session would go the opposite direction. It would just give me a buy pattern. And if I would take it, then it would actually go the opposite
Yeah, I
direction.
often find that actually. Yeah. You plan something that's going well in the morning, and then the American session opens and it goes the other way.
hmm Yeah. Well, for me, actually, it's London session that's always going the other way that I'm planning, or not every time, but most of the times.
Yeah, yeah. And do you let trades run for 3 or 4 days?
No, no, not the entire trade. Only
Yeah.
small portions like point 0.10 or point 0.20.
Okay.
But most of the trade is being closed at around 20, 25 bips profit, 15 sometimes.
Yeah, so you do partials, yeah? Yeah,
Yeah, yes,
yeah,
yes. I do leave partial runners.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And how have you found trading during the pandemic months? Is it more tricky, do you think?
No, it was actually really close, really clean price action for me.
Okay,
It, I think it's also really helpful for me, at least, the fact that I'm not focusing on so many currency pairs.
okay. How many
So
generally?
Mostly
Oh,
one.
mostly one.
Mostly
What is that?
one.
Like Euro
Mostly one.
USD? Yeah.
Euro. Yes, Euro USD, and sometimes other pairs like GJ, GBP JPY, or Euro JPY. Yeah, Euro JPY or Euro GBP. I don't trade AUD pairs. I don't trade
Is
CAD
that
pairs.
because you found them difficult to predict, or is it you just feel that narrowing your focus is your
They
strength?
move. No, this, yes, narrowing my focus on, fewer pairs just makes me have a more quality analysis, but also because I try to trade on pairs that I've seen that move the most when I am at my trading desk.
Okay.
So if I'm trading around, let's say my hour, yes, that would be 2 p.m. between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. And I just noticed that usually AUD and CAD pairs don't move that much during those
Right.
hours.
Yeah.
And also you just learn because the advantage, for example, of having some sort of a trading journal, or what I do is I make a print screen of the setups that I'm taking, and at the end of each week or at the end of each month, when you go through the setups that you took, and you start to notice patterns. And one pattern that I've noticed was that when I was trading on London session, I would mostly lose, as opposed to when I was trading on the New York session, I would mostly win. So I just stopped trading on London session most of the
Yeah.
times. Also, I noticed that AUD and CAD pairs just we don't match together. We don't like each other, so
Yeah.
I just quit trading those. And also, I noticed that Wednesdays and Thursdays, actually Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are the best days. So I just eliminated trading on
Yeah.
Mondays.
Yeah. No, I don't trade so much on Monday either. I think a lot of traders say that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
Monday seems to be very
Yeah.
sort of contrary. It was like people don't want to be back at
Yes.
work or
Yes.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up and
Probably.
down, up and down. God. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh dear. Yeah. Do you look at a chart and ask yourself, how will the big financial institutions be looking to manipulate price here? Is that something that figures in your way of working? You think, oh, well, that could be perhaps news you've heard about central banks or
I don't watch fundamentals that much.
no?
No.
Okay.
What I do sometimes, like around 1 or 2 times a week, is just look on the daily and see potentially where the market could go to fill gaps, or to, for example, a few weeks ago, we had a very bullish movement on Euro USD a few months ago,
Yeah.
actually. And I was just looking at the daily, and I saw, well, okay, it just went up like
Yeah.
crazy all of a sudden without any bearish
Yeah.
candles. I'm just looking at the chart now, it was back in
Yeah. It
July.
went
Okay,
like a
so it was
rocket, didn't it?
several
Yeah.
months ago. Exactly. And so I just said, well, uh, then August and half of September, it was just
Sideways.
really
Yeah.
sideways. Exactly. And I was thinking that it has to come down to cover some of those gaps that the market left,
Yeah.
and to make it, to fill supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
Because this is what a market is all about. Some people buy and some people sell, but if everyone is buying, then who's selling,
Yeah.
right? So to even things out, I was expecting for Euro USD to drop at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. It has slipped a bit, although it's now retracing back
Mm,
up again. But yeah,
yes,
yeah, it's
yes,
a difficult
yes.
one to predict. I think it is on its way down slowly, but
Mhm. Yes, but it's funny, you mention it. It's on its way down slowly.
yeah.
This word slowly. I think it's another thing that we should focus more on, us as traders. We want to see fast moves. We want to trade fast moves. We like to trade with
Yeah.
momentum, right? We don't want to wait a lot until our take profit is going to get hit. And if we see the market just going up for 80 or 100 pips in one day, then we are going to say that we have lost the train and that we have lost the setup and that, we should no longer trade that pair
Right.
until,
Yeah.
if I didn't enter at this point and the market is already up 100 pips, then I should just, I lost my shot.
Yeah.
But it's actually not true, because another thing that I've noticed is that the best setups come after impulsive moves, and the best setups will hit my take profit quite slowly. So it's actually like when the market is just shooting up or just, dropping like crazy, really fast with a great deal of momentum, those are actually the moments when I'm mostly not trading, or I prefer not to trade, because I think that the market will eventually try to rebalance itself.
Yeah, and sometimes it rebalances or retraces very, very fast. So you can be suddenly caught,
Yes,
if you went for a sell, you could suddenly have this it's almost like a whiplash, and it comes straight back up. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I've noticed that my best setups are the setups that take place after an impulsive move. And usually my take profit is hit quite slow.
Yeah.
So when the market is moving slowly, slowly but surely, because this is something that we all lack the understanding of, we need to focus more on markets that move slowly but surely, not on markets that move fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because as fast as it goes up, as fast
Yeah.
as it can just
Can be.
go the
Yeah.
opposite
Yeah. Yeah.
direction. Yes. But when it's something that it's developing in a really balanced way, and you can see that the market is making higher highs and higher lows, just as it's supposed to do in a bullish environment, instead of just making only bullish candles one after the other and no retracement, then I think it's more healthy. And you can also have more entries.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you always keep the same stop loss? Like you said 20 to 25 pips, or do you some trades do you make that bigger or?
When I'm trading on M15, like intraday, okay, when I'm intraday trading, most of the times my stop loss would be 25 pips, 20,
Yeah.
25. If not, I would try not to go more than 40 to 50 pips.
Yeah.
I've had setups when I was entering based on the 1 hour time frame, and naturally the stop loss would be a bit higher, a bit bigger. But most of the times I try to stick to no more than 20 to 25 pips.
So your 15-minute time frame is what you're looking at most of the time. It's just the 4 hours, and occasionally the day is just to get the
Yes.
setup right, the direction.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. And do you ever hedge on any position? Do you buy and sell at the same time? No.
No, I had some, I think last summer, I caught very nice setups when I would hedge only my runners. So at some point, I wanted to have a runner that I can leave for 1,000 pips. And I caught at a point on GBP USD 630 pips with my runner. And I was just trailing my stop loss. I think it was a trade that it was for about 3 weeks. It was running.
Oh, wow.
And I was hedging only
The dips. Yeah,
the
the dips
runners.
or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd let a trade run for, as you said, 2 to 3 weeks, and when you saw a significant dip, let's say this is a buy, and you saw a significant dip, you'd at that point, you'd hedge. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. But I was never, the runners are never influencing my trading. Like if I leave a runner, usually I would leave it as much as possible, and I just trail the stop. And so when the stop loss gets hit, it gets hit. I
Yeah.
just most of the times I don't even notice the runners that I'm leaving.
Right. Yeah. And the runners, as you call them,
Yeah.
they are smaller lot size, perhaps than.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
very small, like no more than 0.10 lots.
Yeah, because otherwise you might just get caught by heavier retracement.
Yeah. And yes, besides this, I move my stop loss at break even quite fast.
Yeah.
So and my take profits are only a few hours long, right? So if I open the trade today, I would close the trade today. Most of the trade, 90% of the trade, I would close it today. And then I just leave a runner, usually 10, 15, no more than 15% from the initial trade, and with stop loss at break even. If it moves for a lot of pips, I'm very happy. I would just, like I said, I had at some point I wanted to leave a runner for 1,000 pips. That was my biggest runner, like 630 pips, but that's it. I just couldn't have a bigger runner than that. But so if I had, for example, at some point I remember I had two runners uh, on the sell side on Euro USD, right? There that were running for about a week, I think, and I also had a runner, a bullish runner. So pretty much it was kind of like hedging, but it wasn't my intention to hedge.
Yeah.
So it was okay. Who's going to win this this game? This match.
Yeah. And generally these days, now you're not part of the mentorship group.
No.
I think you're part of like a Telegram group with Alex. Is that right?
Yes, actually, it's my
Oh, it's your
Telegram
Telegram.
group where
Okay.
yeah, it's mine. Yes, I share my setups. I share things that I notice in the market, and he is on that group also.
Yeah.
So yeah, but other than that, I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not part of other trading groups or.
And do you find trading, being at home, and well, I mean, these days most of us are working from home, but prior to the pandemic, did you find it sort of lonely, or are you a sort of person who's quite happy with being on your own and with your cats and just getting down to work?
No, but no, you're not you shouldn't trade from home necessarily. So I sometimes just take my laptop and just go out and trade.
Okay, like a cafe or something like that?
Yes, cafe, the park. We have Wi-Fi all over the place, so it would be such a pity, And also during the pandemic, we had some sort of a rule in here from our government that we were not allowed to leave the house unless we would go for
Exercise,
like light exercise activities, and I would just sign. It was like a form, a paper that you needed to have with you all the time, and you would just say there, well, myself, Alexandra Lera, I am going out between, I don't know, 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. to jog, for example. And I would just take my laptop in my backpack and sit somewhere. And I just had that paper with me. I wasn't jogging, but
just in case.
Just in case, But nobody is, we shouldn't be necessarily inside the house to trade. And this is what's great about trading. You're not tied to a desk. You're not tied to, to something indoors.
Yeah. Do you miss the day-to-day office chat and no, none of that?
No,
office politics?
No. Oh, no.
Definitely not that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So you're quite happy with how
Yes, it was actually, I felt really mad when I got laid off. Laid off, that's what you call
laid
it?
off,
Laid off.
like redundant.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I was really angry, and I felt like, it was unfair what was going on, and I don't deserve this, and I'm so good at doing my job. But then actually after some time of reflecting, it actually was the best thing that could have happened in my life.
Blessing in disguise.
And the chats that I was having with my colleagues were nothing but distractions. And
interesting. Yeah, cool. Well, we should wrap it up there. It's been really interesting. Thanks so much for talking to me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Well, all the best. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
I was talking just then to Alex Lera. You've been listening to A Trader's Life. Catch you on the next one.